Where does Vrabel wind up, Albert?
Yeah.
Where does
So I feel like Vrabel is sort of, I think Vrabel, I think he might wind up being the best guy in the market just because of age, right? Now he doesn't have the accomplishments that Bill and Jim have, but just because of age, like he's still in his 40s, like I think he might actually be the best prospect, if you want to call him that,
right?
of the guys in the market. Um, I would I would say right now it feels almost like he's running second a bunch of places. Like I think Seattle could hire him. Like I think Seattle, I think John Schneider would really look at that, maybe over Dan Quinn. But like Dan Quinn's the presumed leader in the clubhouse there. I think the Chargers would look at hiring him if Jim Harbaugh were to leave them at the altar. I think the Falcons would look at him very seriously if the Bill Belichick thing doesn't work out. So it does feel like he's running second a bunch of these places. You know where I think he might have landed if things had played out differently is Philly. Like I think that would have been a possibility. So, like, it's not that he's not a strong candidate in a lot of these places. He is. It's just that like a lot of these places where maybe he fits best, the focus has been on somebody else. I'm going to be interested too to just watch. I would watch Washington with him because he was together with Adam Peters. Now, Adam Peters was a low-level scout, and Vrabel was a player, but they were together for 6 years in New England. And Peters said, and I believe the Commanders really like Ben Johnson, not 100%, but Peters said something really interesting during his press conference when he was introduced as the general manager there, which was, I'm not looking offense or defense. I'm looking for a leader.
Mm-hmm. So
doesn't that scream Mike Vrabel to you?
Well, of course it does. I mean, so what's your reporting on what happened in Philadelphia last Friday when Sirianni and Jeffrey Lurie met and they're going to put Sirianni and Howie Roseman out in front of the media on Wednesday? What a fascinating back and forth that should be in Philadelphia. What's your reporting there, Albert?
I think it's like similar to the way Jeffrey Lurie handled it 3 years ago. Okay, now when they went through that 3 years ago, if you remember, I believe it was 8 days after the last game of the season that they fired Doug Peterson, and a big part of that was Jeffrey Lurie waited to meet with Peterson and let Peterson and Howie get their ducks in a row and come up with a plan to dig them out of what was a really bad season for them in the COVID year, right? Like they finished behind Washington that year. I think Washington went 6-9-1 and won the division, something crazy like that, whatever it was. And so in the end, like the plan wasn't satisfactory. And it wasn't satisfactory in part because, Doug was really loyal to his assistants and he didn't want to clean out the staff. I think that's sort of the template of what happened here was that, Jeffrey does wait sometimes to meet with his coaches after the season and gave them time to, come up with something. Hey, here's what we see it looking like at the end of the year. Here's what we see it looking like going into 2024. Here's the plan. Here's who my coaches are going to be. Here's how the roster is going to be set up. And not like that, like he needs to win his job back or anything like that. But, you got to put him you got to put the owner in a position where he feels good about what the plan is going forward. And so I think that's sort of the way it played out. And now they're looking for 2 new coordinators. And it's such a weird thing too, Rich, because like I can remember like last year on the night of week 18, I was talking to Nick Sirianni on the phone and he, had a beer in his hand and he was at Shane Steichen's house and the entire staff was there and they were celebrating winning the #1 seed. And he said that he wanted to do this, Nick did, because his dad and his brothers were high school coaches, and they would come and hang out on Friday nights, and he never got the chance to do that. And having the bye gave him the chance to do that. The reason I'm telling that story is because there was such a great vibe on that staff. A lot of the coaches were the same age. They had kids the same age. That was a year ago, right? That was a year ago that was the vibe in that building. That was the vibe on that staff. And now you lose the 2 coordinators who get opportunities to be head coaches in Steichen and Jonathan Gannon. And you did such a poor job replacing them that you got to blow the new guys out of town now too. One of whom was on the staff last year. It's crazy, and it'll be interesting to see how they come out of this because it's almost like Nick is now going to be chasing something that they built the first 2 years. that somehow they lost over the last year.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.